Initially, we will turn the time over to hearing for explanation. Turn the time over to hearing.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this item was voted on at the February 2017 open meeting. It was approved without amendment at that time. The Hearing Division continues to support the ROO.
Okay. Commissioner Tobin, I'm going to turn the time over to you now. You requested that this come back on. Would you please speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
All of you.
How about now?
Better.
Okay, great. Members, we had a vote at our last meeting on this docket that I think we all had some concerns about. I had asked that the parties go back to the table and work it out better and than what we might come down on in a decision. So having given some serious thought to that, I still have reservations about this settlement agreement, or I'm sorry, this vote that I made. So I think this idea of the CC&N needs a deeper dive as well. So having voted on the prevailing side, I move to reconsider the most recent vote on docket number W01445A 030559. I move to direct the parties on this matter to commence settlement discussions on resolving the current dispute between Arizona Water Company and Corman Tweedy 560 LLC and return to the Commission within 60 days upon issuance of this order. And I move to postpone any further reconsideration of this item for the 60 days.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Tobin. Okay, truth be told, I've got some questions about proceeding and would like to ask legal if they could direct us just a little bit on this. According to the request that Commissioner Tobin has made, could you just explain really briefly what our options are here, just to make sure that we're doing things correctly?
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, I do think that the motion that has been made can be voted on by the Commission, and the parties can be directed to confer and hopefully come to some kind of an agreement that would, well, it would make it a lot easier to resolve the final matter that has lingered before the Commission for a number of years. So there are essentially three parts to that motion that I heard, but the Commission can consider them all as one, or it can consider them in different parts.
Okay, and Mr. Lasota, would you just mind walking us through that?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, there was the motion to reconsider, and then there was another part of it was that the parties would essentially be directed to try to settle this matter, and then the third I heard was that they would come back and report on any progress within 60 days of the issuance of the order.
Okay. So what I'd like to do, since this issue has already been heard and everybody had a chance to speak, what I'd like to do is to put it in the hands of the commissioners. If the commissioners have questions for somebody that is a part of this issue, or if they have comments, or if they have something that needs to be discussed, I'll call on Commissioner Dunn first, if you'd please.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, just to have a legal item just resolved, is this a matter for reconsideration if we do not have a signed order?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, I think it's proper that because there was a meeting on this and there was a vote to do a formal reconsideration. Arguably, it's not absolutely necessary, but I think it's probably good form to do so.
Okay.
Chairman Freese, may I be heard on that?
If there are new points to be brought up, yes, please.
This actually does go to the process, sir.
Okay.
Arizona Water strongly believes that under the law, because you made a decision at the February open meeting, the statute requires the commission to publish that order, to publish that decision, serve it on the parties, and if you want to reconsider, you would do so under ARS 40-252, which requires that you reconsider that order. You don't have an order yet. You have to publish it and serve it on parties. And then Arizona Water has to have the opportunity to be heard as upon a complaint, which means we need 10 days notice that you are reconsidering the matter and an understanding of what that notification is. And so we believe the process now is deficient and that you might be violating Arizona Water's due process rights.
Okay. Legal counsel, would you please comment on that?
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I would disagree. I mean, I think that the issue, that the motion being considered today is one, directing the parties to go back and discuss this. I think that I don't see that the requirement that is identified by council that there's any time limit that we have to put the order in or file the order. It has not been filed, and I think that if this is just really a question of, I mean, there's not much of a difference to me that, you know, whether it's a 40-252, because you could reconsider this anyway under those proceedings. So I don't see prejudice to anyone's rights here.
Chairman Freese, if I may quickly, I would direct Mr. Lasota to ARS 40-247B, which specifically says, after conclusion of the hearing, the commission shall make and file an order containing its decision. If you want to reconsider that order, then it goes under 40-252, which presents the proper process to use to reconsider the decision you made in February.
Mr. Lasota.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, there's no timetable. I think that the commission has proceeded this way in the past in another matter. It's been many years, but I think the process being followed is proper. The process identified by council there wouldn't be a problem with that either. But I don't see a lot of difference between the two in substance.
Okay. Commissioner Little.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think if I can offer an opinion, and I believe that Ms. Grable kind of beat me to the punch on what I was going to say before, but I was on the board for a little while, and so I appreciate you bringing up the points that I was planning to bring up. I think in this case, I would recommend that we adopt a more cautious approach. One of the things that I would be very concerned about was if there were a subsequent dispute subsequent to any reconsideration. And by the way, I want to go on record as saying that I support Commissioner Tobin's the spirit of what he wants to do to try to get the parties back together. I think out of an abundance of caution to properly follow the administrative rules that are set forth for pleadings before the commission, and also to ensure that we follow proper civil procedure, which is the default if there's no explicit rule for practicing before the commission, that a more caution-filled approach would be to file the order and approach it from the standpoint of a 4252. And again, this is no disrespect to you, Mr. Lasota, at all. I'm simply stating it out of an abundance of caution. It might be more proper to approach it using the procedures that we normally would. And by the way, I don't think that would prevent us from voting as a commission today to support Commissioner Tobin's suggestion that the parties get together and attempt to put together some sort of settlement in the interim.
So, Mr. Lasota, just so that I understand this correctly, a motion is on the table for reconsideration, and so that's a motion that gets voted up or down. And then, depending on how that vote should turn out, are we then putting this back on another agenda, or do we then revote the issue now?
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, there's essentially a three-part motion on the table now. There could be a motion to break up that motion into three parts, or you could vote it as a compound motion. But the motion that's on the table now is to reconsider and to essentially direct the parties to confer and report back to the commission within 60 days of the order. And so I think that would kind of stand by itself as that motion.
Okay, and so a vote will be in favor of all three parts?
Yes, unless there was a motion to break up the motion, which would take precedence. But you can vote all three parts of the motion as it's been stated if you want. Unless there's another motion to break it up, that's the way it should proceed, as a vote on Mr. Tobin's motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunn.
Just maybe a suggestion. I support Commissioner Tobin's effort to get the parties together to discuss a resolution and also to perhaps begin our discussion regarding the issue of CCNNs as they exist today. Could we proceed and indicate that discussion and negotiations to occur in the next 60 days with the understanding that if we do reconsider, that we proceed with a signed order at that time?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I think that would be okay also, to add that.
Okay, Commissioner Tobin, I want to make sure that you were able to hear Mr. Lasoda's explanation, and I'm getting the thumbs up here. So a motion is on the table. This is a three-part motion for reconsideration, directing the parties to work together on a new agreement and to come back in 60 days to the commission. Considering the nature of this, let's break this up into a roll call vote. If you would please call the vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Little, I did not see you up there. Were you up there from before? Did you have another comment?
I wanted to see if I could seek clarity as to what exactly the vote is being taken on now.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I don't know if Mr. Tobin wants to actually reread the motion, but it's the three parts that we've discussed. The motion to reconsider is the first. The motion, the part directing the parties to confer and seek possible settlement, and then to report back within 60 days. They can come back sooner within 60 days of any progress that's made.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Tobin.
I was intrigued by Commissioner Dunn's friendly amendment. I think he had something he wanted to add. I was wondering if he could repeat that. I don't object.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I've misstated the third part, which is to actually postpone reconsideration, which, as it may sound like a paradox that we are moving to reconsider and then postponing that reconsideration. In this circumstance, it's the motion to reconsider we think is procedurally necessary to open this back up again, but we would postpone consideration of whether we should reconsider for 60 days.
Okay. Commissioner Dunn, do you want to speak to Commissioner Tobin's?
No, I think from a legal standpoint, I would feel more comfortable, and I guess I would do the same thing in terms of, and I would encourage the parties to seek a resolution. If they cannot, then if there's a determination that we need to have a signed order, that we proceed with a signed order before we do reconsideration. That would allow that to occur. If we don't proceed with a reconsideration if after 60 days there's no progress, and that appears to be the only solution, then we can perhaps address that need of having a signed order at that time.
I think that's right, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Dunn.
Okay, Commissioner Tobin, are you willing to accept a verbal amendment from Dunn?
Yes, I am. I think that's appropriate.
Okay. And let's just, Commissioner Little, you have a comment?
So I'm still quite concerned about the irregularity of the process that we're going through. There was a decision made in the February open meeting. There were 3 votes cast in favor. I believe that the more proper approach to do this, and if you look at the timing associated with it, it would not prevent discussions from beginning on the part of the parties. I think a more proper way to do this would be to issue an order. There was a decision made by this commission. It was a lawful decision. The order should be issued, and the time clock should start. 40-252 can be picked up by Commissioner Tobin's office, and we can proceed in a way that would not place us in the legal jeopardy I believe this process places us in.
Thank you, Commissioner Little. So we have an amendment to Commissioner Tobin's motion to reconsider. I imagine just in order to go through this process, Commissioner Dunn, would you move your amendment?
Unless Commissioner Tobin is willing to just simply use that as a friendly amendment in terms of
Good enough? Okay,
motion.
before the screen went blank. Okay.
Okay.
Then let's vote on the reconsideration, and let's do so with a roll call vote. If you'd please call the vote.
Commissioner Burns.
I'd like to explain my vote. I am
Please.
in support of the comments made by Commissioner Little, and I vote no.
Commissioner Little. Commissioner Little.
For the reason.
Mic issues, sorry. For the reasons that I expressed earlier in my comments, I vote no.
Commissioner Tobin.
I vote aye.
3 votes.
I knew that was going to repeat itself, and I needed a few extra votes.
Commissioner Tobin votes once.
Commissioner Dunn.
I will vote aye with those explanations.
Chairman Faris.
I vote aye. With your votes of 3 ayes and 2 nays, you have vote to pass the reconsideration. So with that, we conclude item 20. We will adjourn. And